All right, everyone, here we are. It is a new week, and we may have something a little different on our hands today. We now actually have drama related to whether these briefings or today's is actually being rebranded a press conference were going to happen. We have questions as to whether any reporters will be allowed to ask questions during the press briefings, and I just don't know the answer. So let me give you guys the backstory on it. As you might remember, last Thursday, Donald Trump made this completely abortive, globally shameful comment about injecting disinfectants. Quick reminder.
We hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light.
Right.
And I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way.
Right.
And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right. And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or
disinfectant
almost a
injection inside. Disinfectant injection inside. It obviously happened. Trump tried saying it was sarcastic on Friday, but clearly that wasn't going to work. And so during the Friday press briefing, Mike Pence just wrapping up, and then they just leave, not taking questions for the first time since the start of the virus.
I truly do believe the day will soon come when we will heal our land and we'll be able to reopen America and put this great nation back to work. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Mr. President?
Now you hear Caitlin Collins from CNN saying, Mr. President, is now the time for sarcasm, because, of course, he earlier claimed ridiculously that he was being sarcastic when he said, let's look at some injections. And then after this, not taking questions, no press conference on Saturday, no press conference on Sunday, amid reports that these are going to be dramatically scaled down, which makes sense. They're just lie-riddled, and it seems that they just create situations for Donald Trump to say things that make the entire world laugh at him, which is very, very triggering for him. But then today we woke up and there was a press briefing scheduled for 5 p.m. until it was canceled and replaced with a Rose Garden presentation with Trump and Pence. So I don't know what to expect. I think it's perfectly plausible that it will be an outdoor thing at the Rose Garden, set up with Trump and Pence alone on a stage, making a statement and then walking out. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens. I also wouldn't be surprised if they figured out some way to say, we will only take questions about economic issues, for example, because that's another thing that was leaked over the weekend, that they would shift the focus from talking about the virus, which is what's killing people, of course, to talking only about economics. Maybe that's a possibility. There's a rumor floating around that Trump will announce a plan to test 2% of the population. Now, that can't be it, right? Because let's just do some simple math. Let's see if we have our Monday data yet. We do. Oh my God, a total failure in testing today. We actually had a few successful days where we were getting up over 300,000 tests, close to 2, over 2, close to 3, over 2, only 135,000 tested today. So we've currently tested 5.6 million people. This is a country of 331 million. So think about it this way. 1% is 3.3 million. 2% is 6.6 million. Trump announcing that we will be testing 2% of the population, we only need to test 700,000 more. Like, we're going to get to that by Friday, no matter what Trump says. Is he going to announce a way to test 2% of the population per day? That would be something, right? If we could do 6.6 million tests per day, that would be something. We're obviously nowhere near that. We tested 135,000 today. So I don't know what's going to be announced. Trump's new press secretary, weaponized propagandist Kayleigh McEnany, who's very devoutly Christian, and I can't imagine Jesus would be okay with all the lying she does. She said Donald Trump is going to be making some major announcement about testing protocol or something like that today. So I have no idea what's going to happen today, but we will soon see. The latest official numbers are globally, we have now hit 3 million cases. The real number is probably somewhere between 6 and 60 million cases, somewhere in there. We don't really know. 211,000 deaths in the United States. We did today surpass 1 million official cases. Remember, Trump just weeks ago saying we have 15 cases. They will soon be 0. We are also just a few days from 60,000 deaths. Remember, the White House for weeks now predicting our total death toll would be 60,000. We appear to be just a few days from that number. 17,000 new cases today, 1,000 new deaths. If you want some good news, I will mention that yesterday we had the lowest death toll, that you have to go all the way back to March 31st to find a lower death toll than yesterday. That's good. It may just be a blip, again, because we still have 3 hours left in the day as measured on this website, which resets at GMT midnight. We're already at the same number of deaths. That's what I can tell you. Now, I do want to talk briefly, and depending on the timing of all of this, I may talk about this after the briefing. I actually have some ideas about what should happen over the next 6 weeks that are probably a little more practical than just a total and complete shutdown. And there's psychological and economic reasons for it. But I want to make sure I have the time for that. So we'll take a pause on that. Welcome to everybody watching on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I do have amazing news for folks. I did a time lapse of my tomato plants. This is a 2-hour time lapse. And as you can see, look at this little guy stretching up towards the sun, rising like a phoenix. An incredible win in the battle of ideas this weekend. My tomato plants are very, very much in play, so to speak. And anyway, I don't know, just a little levity for us here. Nothing better. I also have some sprouted herbs and herbs. Cucumbers are starting to rise through the ashes in a resurrection like motif, I guess I would call it. But very, very exciting stuff happening in the world of gardening, which I encourage people to check out. This is, of course, indoors. These will be moved outside around Mother's Day. Around Mother's Day is sort of my expectation. If you're just joining me on Twitch, welcome. I had to physically fight off my staff today to get them to allow me to stream on Twitch because the Twitch subs have been imploding. And there is a rising perspective at the David Pakman Show that I should pinch off Twitch altogether and forsake Twitch to the list of prior platforms. I refuse to do that. So I fought off my staff today, and we are live on Twitch. And I want to say thanks to Dranoa for gifting a subscription, actually 2, and also to Pooh for signing up with Twitch Prime. On any number of YouTube super chats are coming in. Please remember, if you're joining me on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. I mean, absolutely turn it into mashed potatoes. And also use the like button. Both are very much appreciated. Zesty African asks, do you appreciate the leaders in the Pink Tide movement? If so, what about them? That's not a movement I'm familiar with. Nanny of Many has signed up on YouTube. Marie Telez says, David, Trump recommends for coronavirus to drink bleach. Trump has gone totally schizophrenic. Zachary Foster says, Cuomo says events happening in the summer are vital for people's sanity. Can you go a little further and explain how New York City can accomplish this? Listen, I have a whole rant about that. I will try to get to it today. And if not, I will do it tomorrow. I am making dinner tonight, and there's a very explosive situation in my fridge right now. So I don't have unlimited time today. But if Trump is relatively short in speaking today, which he might be if he doesn't take questions, I will address that very much head on. Per Tiren says, David, I saw your hanging lock of hair on the forehead. It's so 1990th. Just kidding, you look fine. Okay. Adrian Benningfield says, David, if the Bleacher and Thief cancels pressers, will you do a live stream still? Yeah, if Trump no longer does press briefings, because we need to, because YouTube revenue is down 35%. I mean, this is a very real economic situation for us. I will probably start streaming. I will do like a sampling of what governors are doing. So like I would go to Andrew Cuomo. I would go to Gavin Newsom. I would go maybe to Mike DeWine, Charlie Baker. We would do something like that. And I'll make tuna melts live on camera as well. Holy Fook says, how bad of a president was Ronald Reagan? That's not for today. That's not for today. Blackwave54 says, she in there making panini. She know I got all the bread. She know me. Got it, I'm a hustler. Yeah, yow, it's lit. God, I hope that's not racist. Tina Howard says, David, why should the average American be concerned about the oil surplus? Lower cost for us is good. Halliburton losing money doesn't bother me. Right. The question would be whether it would be part of a deflationary spiral that would be a bigger thing than just oil. And will it depress wages? Will it impact the ability of small businesses to make money? There are other concerns, but you're right. If gas is cheap, that's not obviously a concern for you, for sure. Let's see here. Shane Bushta says, keep on growing. Yeah, we're going to keep growing plants for sure. Ms. Smith says, protesters comparing lockdown to slavery. Stupid, yes, but the mentality of this, what are your thoughts? I have a segment about that on today's show, so let me not sort of outdo myself by talking about that now, but clip coming up soon. Per Tiren says, to see something grow is comforting in the face of disease. Yes, that is why it is just inspirational to see my little tomato plants every day, just pulling towards the sun just a little bit. And very, very exciting. And we are going to have much more on my urban garden very, very soon, I trust. Jay's Reviews sends a super chat. Nasty Question says, I'm nervous there will be no nasty questions today. Me too. I'm very nervous about it. By the way, does anybody know if any stream now is live in the Rose Garden? Because I would much rather be able to see how close we are to the start of this insanity. And Fox News tends to go live first. I prefer the C-SPAN feed, but they aren't live either. I don't know if anybody is aware of another stream. I would love to find one that is just camping out in the Rose Garden if we can. Taking a quick look here and not seeing one. And nobody is directing me to one either. Maybe, oh, wait a second. The White House is also not live, but I guess I can add that just to our arsenal here in case they do go live sooner. Yeah, I guess nobody's live. Yeah, we're not sure at this point in time. We'll stick with Fox just because they tend to go live pretty early. Okay. Holy Fook says, did you see the Harvard Caps Harris poll that shows 20% of registered voters prefer Sanders for Biden's VP slot, which is the highest? I did not see that. But I will look at that. BW85 asks if these are heirloom tomatoes. They are not. They are not or heirloom, no. Holy Fook says, what are the Joe Biden sexual assault accusations? Okay, we've gone through that a whole bunch of times. Holy Fook is this user previously known as Rat Packer, previously known as Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell, previously known as Dr. Anthony Fauci, previously known as Huge Ass. And they try to just derail the streams constantly. Daniel Krieger says, I'm troubled with violent thoughts these days. I would talk to a professional about that. Mike Valverde says, how can I earn a follow on Twitter? It's tough. I follow very few people on Twitter. Very, very few. Oh, one other thing. We are also told that the doctors will be sort of taking a back seat going forward during these press briefings. And people are asking, we haven't seen Fauci for a week. What about that? I don't know that we will see Birx either. I think that the doctors are going to have an increasingly small role during these. They are going to be focusing on a propagandistic economic message because I think they believe that it would be useful to them. People keep dying, though. I don't know that it's going to be appropriate to ignore that. Clinky Winky says, is America now a second world country since one of the conditions for first world is to have a stable democratic leader? I don't know about first or second world, but the United States is listed in the democracy index as a flawed democracy, not a full democracy. So that characterization has been in place for a little while. We are 2 spots below South Korea, 2 spots less democratic than South Korea, despite regularly having a Trump administration officials say, we are not authoritarian like South Korea. We can't do what they did around the virus. They are ranked higher in the democracy index than we are. Fox Janssen says one of the leaders of Reopen North Carolina tested positive. Didn't see that. Christian Birdiel says, I'm afraid to say this, but I wonder what will be the next suggestion that Trump will give. Rat poison? I think Trump at this point is going to stay away from such irresponsible suggestions. That's my guess. That's my guess. Holy Fook says, why would you have the idiot Iran? Nah, you know, we're not doing ad hominems of other people, other YouTubers. We just don't do it. Maddie Ice PVD says, Governor Gina Raimundo rolled out a comprehensive reintegration plan today. Perhaps a piece for your show. She has done an exceptional job thus far. Please email that to me if you can through my website. I would like to look at that. Andrew Moore says Pennsylvania Governor Wolf vetoed an override of the stay-at-home order a week ago, single-handedly saving thousands of lives. No one mentions his courageous actions. Let me say a huge, huge thank you to DieHard246 for subscribing on Twitch. July Hippo subscribes with the message, flatten the implosion curve. Mechanics has subscribed on Twitch, as has ML Smith. Elf1491 subscribes on Twitch with the message, thank you for all you do. I always keep up with my free Twitch subs and love my website subscription. Stay safe and sane. Thank you. Multi-Beast says, had to take my wife to MGH in Chelsea today. Scary sight with all the COVID tents in the parking lot. Yeah, a number of friends of mine are emergency room doctors in the city, and I've been hearing similar situations. Watergirl has subscribed on Twitch, saying, thanks for keeping me sane during these afternoon nut fests. Yeah, indeed. Remember, anybody with Amazon Prime can subscribe free on Twitch, absolutely free on Twitch. You pay nothing. We get a little bit of money, which is very, very exciting. We believe that we are potentially just seconds from the start of this news conference, although we don't even have live video yet. If at any point anybody gets an update about what's going on, let's see if Trump has tweeted anything about it. I will be having a press conference at 5:30. Oh, okay, very good. Well, there is the update. Now we know exactly what is going on. That tells us that. Welcome, of course, if you are watching on Facebook or Twitter. We've been sort of beta testing, for lack of a better term, streaming on Twitter as well as on Facebook, and it goes okay. Sometimes we actually end up with more viewers on Facebook than on Twitch. I don't know what the rhyme. Sometimes we have a fraction. Sometimes we have more. I don't know. And Twitter is still not doing great. Twitter is still not doing great. Usually like 100 people watch on Twitter, but I figure why not do it, right? It costs us nothing extra to do it. And, you know, I mean, yeah, Twitter streaming, a lot of people laughing at it, but why not? Why not? Okay. Info Minimal says Trump equals dark order. Orange Cassidy equals corona cure. Okay. BK says channel Abacaba coronavirus. Are the lockdowns actually working? April 21st update. Great visuals and stat analysis of bell curve and analysis of infectious prediction. Very good. Jamal Swift says, hey, homie, what will it take for you to sing happy birthday? It's my birthday. I don't know that I'm equipped to do that. I really can't sing. But happy birthday to you, Jamal. Jamal checks in with a super chat on almost every single one of my live streams. Really appreciate it, Jamal. Have a good birthday. Probably a slightly different birthday than many, given what's going on, but hopefully a good one nonetheless, my friend. Your boy Blue says Trump is a scary orange man. Zesty African says pink tide, meaning leaders like Chavez, Morales, Lula, Kirchner, Correa, Zelaya, Obrador, etc. Do you fancy any of them, and do you fear their shift to the right Latin America is experiencing? I'm not a big Chavez fan. It's certainly not a Kirchner fan. And I think from these, maybe Obrador is the one I would be most in favor of. Ronaldo Martinez sends a super chat. Daniel Rivera says, how much do David Pakman Show shares go for? I now own all the shares. As many of you know, we at one point had some angel investors in the show back in 2017. back in late 2015, we, in order to expand the show dramatically and bring on additional full-time staff and yada, 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 we took on 3 silent minority investors. By minority, I don't mean that they were racial minorities. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I'm not identifying them one way or the other. But they own a minority of the shares. And that provided an injection, not of bleach, but of capital to the program to expand our studio, go HD, and hire full-time staff, all this stuff. So for a while, I did not own all of the shares of the David Pakman Show Holding Corporation. Over the last year, I have bought out, I have bought out those shareholders, and I am back to 100% ownership of the David Pakman Show. But of course, it's pretty academic because at all times I was 100% in control editorially, importantly. But so shares are essentially priceless, Daniel. They are not for sale at this point in time. Johnny Minogue says, after watching your narrations of the daily briefings, not per capita is the new safe word du jour. Yes, indeed. Very much so. Very, very much so as we stand by here. Let me say a huge thank you to a very special person. That person is Matt Kelly. Why is Matt Kelly so special? Well, there's probably a lot of reasons, but the one I know of is that Matt Kelly just signed up at joinpakman.com and is new member number 1 for today's live stream. As you can see, we've just filled the tiniest little slice, to quote Andrew Yang, of this blue bar right above my head. I have been very successfully limiting my membership enticements to just 1 per stream. So let me just do it right now and get it out of the way. We're having a real tough month when it comes to our members. Members are our primary source of funding. We lost 389 in March. Why? We all know why. 20% of the country's out of work. People are tightening the belts. I get it. This is not as important as food, so I get it. This month, we're already up to close to another 350 or so people who have canceled. We still have 4 days left. Today, this month, maybe even worse than March. So we're all in it together. I don't want anybody's last dollar. I've made the commitment that we're not cutting hours. We're not laying people off. We've decentralized work so production can continue. My ask to you is a very simple one. If you are in the umbrella of folks that can afford $1 or $2 a month, consider getting a membership at joinpakman.com. If you use that coupon code above my head, it's $2 a month or only $1.80 a month if you pay for the entire year. Or if you prefer, and some people do, make a pledge on Patreon at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. Everything counts today, okay? The goal is 25. Memberships count. Patreon counts. If you up your Patreon pledge, that'll count. If you're pledging $2 a month and you double it to 4, that'll count. Everything counts, and everybody will get thanked profusely by me during the stream. I won't interrupt the press briefing for it, but I will thank everybody one way or the other. That's the gist, I guess, of what I'm telling you. Okay. The press briefing has been canceled and replaced with a Rose Garden press conference. Whether that will or won't include questions to Donald Trump, I don't know. The funny thing about avoiding questions to not have to talk about bleach injections is that at some point, he will have to take a question in the rest of his presidency, right? And reporters aren't going to forget that he never answered questions about bleach injections. So we'll see if there are questions answered today. It has also been moved from 5 p.m. to 5:30, top of the hour to the bottom of the hour. So that's what we're currently standing by for. A very poor day in testing today. It looked like we were going in the right direction. Last Wednesday, we tested 315K, almost 200,000 on Thursday, over 200,000 on Friday, close to 300 on Saturday, 200. And this is still, we've got to get to 500K a day minimum. And then today, only 135,000 tests. So things are not going well as far as that's concerned. Trump reportedly going to tell us something today about a testing protocol. A few Twitch thank yous before I get back to Super Chats. I want to make sure I don't mispronounce any of these usernames. Strontium54 has subscribed on Twitch. Frizzy Fry has subscribed. Beard Beardsley is a new Twitch Prime member. Argonut is a new Twitch Prime member. Deadlos has subscribed. Hummus Sexual. I can only imagine what it is like to be around a chickpea for someone named Hummus Sexual has subscribed. Arun Anthony has subscribed. Mertzbau has cheered. Angelesco has subscribed. Dragonfly Back Home is a new subscriber on Twitch. John Callie as well. Greykeys has cheered. And Andre the Bavarian. All of those people, I just made up their names. None of them actually just subscribed. No, I'm kidding. They are all too real. All too real. All right. Let's get back over to some YouTube super chats. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, folks. This is my please clap moment. Please remember to subscribe and like the stream. It's all free. I mean, it's completely free. There's no plausible reason on God's green earth, to borrow a term from people that I don't really know, not to like and subscribe because it's free. The buttons are free to use. Okay, Anthony Sanchez says, hola, mi nombre es Pedro, you know. Yeah, the Pedro saga continues. It continues. Charlie says, woke up in a cold sweat last night, had a nightmare that the David Pakman show was no more. Not an exaggeration to say, I'm not sure I would get through this without your coverage. Never stop. Hashtag smash that like, along with a delightful $50 super chat from Charlie. Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate that very much. I really do. Your boy Blue, Charlie, I had a nightmare last night that you were no longer sending super chats. And that was really the nightmare that I woke up in a cold sweat from. Your boy Blue says, is Trump going to snort Clorox bleach on live TV? I made over the weekend, I had a Zoom hangout with some of my friends. We played some Jackbox.tv games, which I recommend to you. Not a sponsor, just a genuine suggestion. Quiplash is one of the most fun ones. And I actually made a delightful cocktail. It's you basically use, it's 1 part vodka, and it's got to be a really good vodka. I like, what vodkas do I like? I guess I shouldn't even really say, but I think people can probably guess what vodka I like. And it's 1 part vodka, 1 part Clorox bleach. And I put an orange rind in it. And then you just do a spray of Lysol, just a single spray of just around the rim, because you don't want to be drinking the Lysol, but it's just more for the aromatics of it. Delightful, delightful. I'm completely kidding. Do not do that. Andre C says, David, do you think Trump will use a real war with China as an excuse to cancel November elections? Remember, Trump can't cancel November elections. It's up to states. Trump can direct states to postpone. Whether they would or wouldn't, I don't know. I think Trump is likely to use military conflict to justify his reelection. I don't think it's likely Trump will use military conflict to try to postpone the election. But I've been wrong many times before, and I could very well be wrong again. Let me say a few other thank yous. Gregory Bowers is new member number 2 today at joinpacman.com. Mike Saltz is new member number 3. Denim Haunches has more than doubled their Patreon pledge, so we're going to call that number 4. Michael Hansen is new member number 5 at joinpacman.com. Christopher Munoz is new member number 6 today. Brian Williams has made a pledge on Patreon, so Brian is number 7. Vince Steinke is number 8 at joinpacman.com. Andon Weimer is new member number 9 today. Lisa Duke, you are new member number 10. Thank you, Lisa. I also want to say thanks to Brandon Smith, who is things just went haywire, who is number 11 at joinpacman.com. Morgan Hansen is new member number 12. And last but absolutely not least, Daniel Relic is new member number 13 today on my website. Patreon and website memberships both count today. Holy Fook says, do you support abolishing the Electoral College? Now, there is a question I can answer in a non-toxic way. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I have a number of segments on my YouTube channel explaining why that is my position. BK says, when will Trumpists prove their patriotism? By volunteering for COVID infection testing? Yeah, there's plenty of trials where people are volunteering to get infected. And I'm not aware of any large group of opener-uppers who have been volunteering. Fair point. Holy Fook says, David Pakman is a neoliberal shill far-righter. Okay. Matthias Germany says, do you think Pence is also suffering because of Trump? I don't know. Pence seems to be living in a fantasy world. So it's really hard for me to know what's going on with Pence. I really don't know. A couple other thank yous over on Twitch. I want to say thanks to Jay Medina and Adelina for their subscriptions. Beach Jewels has subscribed with Prime. Dolly74 is a new subscriber. Lancaster Bill has subscribed. Karu Salem is a new Twitch subscriber, as is Norma Tattoo and Marty Bum 13. Thanks, Marty Bum. Very much appreciate it. Okay. Super chats continuing to come in. Cameron Rafai, when this SIP ends, what will happen when people get reinfected again? Do we have to re-quarantine? Doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. I think the most likely scenario is going to be rolling, overlapping openings and closures in different states. If you said not what do I want to see happen, but what do I think is likely to happen, that would be my guess at this point in time.
Are you tired of them?
Looks like we're going live here, so we will see. The White House is not yet live. C-SPAN is not yet live, but it looks like very, very soon. Here we are. So reporters are here. There are reporters. They have the TVs, so the TVs may play a large propaganda role. Four Flags suggests to me that this is going to be, that there's going to be a larger sort of propaganda role here, and not that many questions would be my guess. But we will see. We will see how this all goes. Here's my instinct, guys, just based on what I'm seeing and the fiasco that was Thursday and Friday. My guess is Trump will come out and make a speech, maybe play a video about opening the country, and leave without taking questions. That's my guess. Okay. I hope he takes questions, and I hope that I'm wrong. But that's sort of my instinct right now. Let me know what you think. Thanks to Donna Williams for the super chat. Jan Schutz says, news alert, Trump says updog will cure COVID-19. Yeah. I think actually Pike position cures it. Raw H says, hey, David, truly appreciate your live stream. Thank you. I appreciate your support. Jacob Ratner says, if 45 is reelected, do you fear for USA democracy? Well, yeah, I also fear for Homo sapiens. William C. says, do you think doctor suicide will become a huge issue? Story in the New York Times, top ER doctor who treated virus patients dies by suicide. That's horrifying. I've not read the story, but I will check that out. Eclipse has subscribed. Yeah, a lot of shaky camera there. Wow. A few other members that I should definitely thank. Hold on a second. David, this is good. Okay. David Burley is new member number 14 today. David Dumas is new member number 15. You know, yesterday I happened to look up out of curiosity. How many website members do we have named David? It's a shocking number. I'm not going to tell you the number right now, but it is a shocking number. And there's got to be some self-selection bias, right? Like, are people more likely to become paid members to a show where the host shares their first name, even if it's subconscious in some way? Because the number of members named David that we have is shocking. Joshua Funderwhite is new member number 16 today. Mehdi Vazifidon is new member number 17 today. John Hickson is new member number 18. Brian Cobble is new member number 19 today. And Kate Katzberg, thank you, Kate. Kate is new member number 20 today. Very much appreciate that. We are standing by for the start of today's Rose Garden press conference. Apparently, this is being framed a little bit differently. It is not the standard coronavirus press briefing. It is a Rose Garden press conference, which to me signals Trump isn't going to take questions. Although when I hear press conference, I'm thinking questions. In Trump's world, that may mean press conference instead of press briefing means the press is allowed there, but they can't ask questions or something. Notice, there are actually microphones here, though. Okay, so maybe there will be some questions. We'll see. Okay. Two Seagullies says, if something happens to Biden, will Bernie be the Democratic candidate? Stay cool, David. I don't even think that's necessary to address right now. Shannon Bennett says, Candace Owens has devolved into a raving pandemic denier, and the amens from her Twitter followers should worry us all. What gives with this? I don't know. She's blocked me. She blocked me years ago on Twitter. Over the weekend, Scott Adams blocked me on Twitter, the Dilbert cartoonist, because I said that he should just take the loss on this injection stuff. He was not making any sense. You can actually check out, if you look at my Twitter or his Twitter, the entire fiasco. But yeah, he blocked me, so I don't know what he's saying. And Candace Owens also blocked me, so I don't know what it is that she's saying. Paul JM says, if Trump stops answering questions at these briefings, should the media just stop broadcasting them? Yeah, I think that would be reasonable. Casey Bates says, what level am I if I signed up for a $240 a year membership? You are David Pakman if you signed up at that level, Casey. I very much appreciate that. Squeedow says, thanks for being you. Thank you. Matthew Kelly says, you're welcome, David. I am grateful for what you do. I've been meaning to join for a while. Thank you for all you do to bring the truth to the people. Thank you. Kristen Miller says, thanks for being a sound voice. Adam Waddington says, can you voice to text tweet? Maybe that's how Trump's tweets get so many spelling errors. That's conceivable. That's conceivable. That's something I've certainly thought about before. Not at all inconceivable. Let me say thank you to Taylor Goad, who is today's 21st new member on my website. I want to say thanks to James Quattlebaum, who has just doubled his Patreon pledge. Bruce has made a pledge, and so has Brittany Garza Wynn. Thanks, Brittany. You are new supporter number 24 today. Daniel Rivera is number 25. And, as I like to say, let's go for 50. I think we can do it. Also want to say thanks to Catherine Leary, who has just upgraded her membership from $6 to $12 a month. Thanks so much, Catherine. Very much appreciate it. We are in the Rose Garden at the White House anticipating weaponized propaganda and hyperbolic disinformation any moment. I'll be here with you to try to parse the lies. We are expecting some kind of major announcement about testing, which from what I've heard could be extremely underwhelming, If you're just joining us, there's a rumor that Trump will announce a plan to test 2% of the country. Now, we've tested 5.6 million already. 2% of the country is 6.6 million. So if the announcement is we're going to do 1 million more tests at some point, that's a very lame announcement. Now, if the announcement is we're going to test 2% each day, meaning we can test the entire country every 50 days, that would then become something notable. Again, it's anyone's guess what the announcement today is going to be. Okay, Twitch messages and thank yous. Top Dylan has subscribed with Prime. Thank you. Wolf has subscribed. Squishy Mushface is a new Twitch Prime subscriber, as is Orator66. Aaron Nance subscribes and says, love everything you do, David. How long do you think it will take for the country to fully reopen again? I have no personal opinion other than what doctors say. And what I'm seeing doctors say is until there's a vaccine, it's probably not going to be fully back to normal, for lack of a better term. LaShawn has subscribed with Prime, and so has Solly Jim. Just as a very brief thing, because we're trying to have some elements of positivity, Here is a time lapse of 2 hours of my tomato plants over the weekend. Look at this little guy right here, just stretching towards the sunlight. Isn't that inspirational? Rising like a phoenix. And I already have a third sprout today, and things are developing very, very quickly. I think I might have a pound tomato by tomorrow. Now, obviously, I'm kidding, but things are developing. And maybe I'll do a couple other pictures later. Somebody actually told me, David, pot plants look the same because I guess there's some relationship between cannabis and tomato plants that they grow in a similarly branching fashion or something like that. And somebody told me that at this stage, a pot plant looks exactly the same. These are not pot plants. These are yellow cherry tomatoes. Just a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. Absolute madness happening. And what else can I say? I will have updates. I will have updates. Those are elements of a tomato, though. Yeah, very good. Okay. Philip Nyman says, by saying no state bailouts, isn't Mitch McConnell actually just priming the pump, not cump, to slash social services as the condition for receiving federal funds? Mitch, I don't know what Mitch McConnell is doing, but I can tell you it's bad for America. We have a track record from him, and we know that that's the case. Burning Rangers Gaming Channel says, better candidate in your book, Hillary or Biden? The reason that that's tough to answer is Hillary in 2020 would be very different than Hillary in 2016. Biden in 2016 would have been different than Hillary. So I don't know. I think the election is mostly going to be determined by circumstances. I don't think Biden rather than Hillary or Hillary rather than Biden in 2020 would actually be a difference maker. That's my genuine feeling right now. Okay, other super chats that have been coming in. Daniel Krieger, do you believe Tara Reid? I have no reason to believe that Tara Reid is saying things that she knows to be lies. And I want way more information and investigation of the Tara Reid story, which should be taken seriously as an accuser who has come forward. Yeah, and I want a big investigation to be done. All right, we've got a bunch of people showing up here. This could be a big business propaganda thing. I'm guessing these are business leaders and people from different corporations that Trump is going to promote. That's my instinct. Dr. Birx is here. Looks like Dr. Gerard, Admiral Gerard. No Fauci again, huh? Yeah, Fauci's been missing for a very long time at this point. No Fauci once again. Seems like absolutely no social distancing whatsoever happening with these people. Interesting. Keep an eye out there for Dr. Fauci. Let me say thank you to Jeremy Schock, who has just doubled his Patreon pledge from $5 to $10 a month. Also, Alejandro Felix is new member number 28 today at joinpacman.com. And also a big, big thank you to Michael Vivian. Michael Vivian is new member number 29 today at joinpacman.com. I really, it's been incredibly heartwarming to see that as many as hundreds of members are having to cancel because of the virus. When we do a stream and 20, 30, 40, 50 people sign up, it's really what's allowing us to stay level. I've committed, as I said, to no hours reductions or anything like that. And I can't say how much I appreciate the support of you really, really nice people who join me almost daily on these streams. Jake Semier says, my friend is stationed in Kansas for the Army, says the state just opened up, and he said everybody was worrying for no reason. What are your thoughts? What is no reason? I don't even understand the assertion. Worrying for no reason. We have over 1 million cases of the virus confirmed. Alvaro S. says, what will be the political fallout from the virus? Will it motivate turnout from minorities who are disproportionately impacted by this? Or will the fact that we are more impacted depress Democratic turnout? Here's my general view is that the longer this goes, the worse it is for Trump. Now you've got to look at more details, right? You have to slice and dice it a little bit more to really understand the full impact. But I think that the longer the virus continues to be a thing, the worse it is for Donald Trump on balance. And of course, there are micro ways in which it could be good for Trump, like if Democrats are more scared of the virus and thus choose to stay home in larger numbers than Republicans. We will deal with. Union Prodigy says, do the strings on your hoodie hang at the same length? No. That would be a little weird. One is slightly longer. All right, here is Trump. Let's go over to the feed on C-SPAN. We like the angles on C-SPAN better. And we will soon see Donald Trump enter. The only downside is C-SPAN is just a little bit behind, but trust me, it's worth it, particularly because we don't want to patronize.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by the Vice President of the United States. The President of the United States, accompanied by the Vice President of the United States.
Bear with me, folks. It's all going to happen very, very cleanly as soon as it gets going. Here is Trump. Brace yourselves, folks. It's going to be a doozy.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What the heck?
Today, I'd like to provide you with an update.
The audio's on a delay. I'm going to refresh once, and otherwise we will bail.
We've had such tremendous support all over. We continue to see encouraging signs of progress. Cases in New York area, New Orleans, Detroit, Boston, and Houston are declining. Denver, Seattle, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Nashville, Indianapolis, and St. Louis are all stable and declining. All parts of the country are either in good shape, getting better, in all cases getting better, and we're seeing very little that we're going to look at as a superseding hotspot. Things are moving along. Really a horrible situation that we've been confronted with, but they're moving along. As we express our gratitude for these hard-fought gains, however, we continue to mourn with thousands of families across the country whose loved ones have been stolen from us by the invisible enemy. We grieve by their side as one family, this great American family, and we do grieve. We also stand in solidarity with the thousands of Americans who are ill and waging a brave fight against the virus. We're doing everything in our power to heal the sick and to gradually reopen our nation.
So you can tell from the language and how he's sticking to the script so far. Someone got to him and said, no more bullshit, no more injections, just read the script.
For getting our country back, and it's happening faster than people would think. Ensuring the health of our economy is vital to ensuring the health of our nation. These goals work in tandem. They work side by side. It's clear that our aggressive strategy to slow the spread has been working and is saving countless lives. For those who are infected, we've taken unprecedented action to ensure they have the highest level of care anywhere in the world. The federal government has built more than 11,000 extra beds, shipped or delivered hundreds of millions of pieces of personal protective equipment, as you know. In fact, some of the people here are going to be talking about it. Some of our greatest executives, some of the greatest anywhere in the world.
Of course, businesses.
And distributed over 10,000 ventilators, and we now have, in a very short period of time, many have been delivered and hundreds of thousands are being built. And frankly, every governor has more ventilators right now than they know what to do with. They're actually shipping them to different locations, and we're shipping some to our allies and others throughout the world because we have ventilators. Like the job that they've done in getting this very complex piece of equipment built is actually incredible. You don't hear about ventilators anymore except in a positive way. We've launched the most ambitious testing effort, likewise,
Here we go.
on Earth. The United States has now conducted more than 5.4 million tests, nearly double the number tested in any other country, more than twice as much as any other country.
So they promised 20 million by the end of March. Obviously, that didn't happen. We're also 41st per capita in testing.
Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Kroger. We're joined by the leaders of those great companies, and we also have with us the leaders from the world's top medical diagnostics companies and suppliers, Thermo Fisher, LabCorp, Quest, U.S. Cotton, and the American Clinical Laboratory Association. These are great companies. These private sector leaders, along with others such as Roche, Abbott, Becton Dickinson, Hologic, and Cepheid, have been exceptional partners in an unprecedented drive to expand the state's capabilities and our country's capabilities. The job they've done has been incredible. The testing that's been developed and being developed right now has been truly an amazing thing. I want to thank Abbott Laboratories for the job they've done. I want to thank Roche, and in particular, those two have really stepped forward. Abbott with a 5-minute test that people can take, and in 5 minutes they know what the answer is. I'd like to ask, if I could, the executives of these great companies, and they have really helped us a lot over the last 45-day period. We're talking about a 45-day period when many of us met, and since then, what Walmart and the others have done has been nothing short of amazing. So I just want to ask them to come forward and say a few words about their company. Plus, they're going to make a big contribution to our country. Please, come forward, please. Thank you.
Anybody buying stocks right now?
Come on up. Thanks
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for all of you for being here today. And what we'd like to talk about is the progress we made. The last time we were here was March 13th, and we've made tremendous progress. And none of that progress could be made without the 47,000 people at Quest Diagnostics that are working around the clock, working up the test and running the test and delivering the results that we need. As far as results, we've made tremendous progress. We are currently at Quest Diagnostics testing about 50,000 tests per day. We've been pushed by the task force to bring up that number. By the end of May, we'll have 100,000 tests per day, about 3 million tests, and these are the molecular tests that we do today. We've also brought up serological testing. We started that this past week, and by the end of May, we'll be close to 250,000 a day, about 7,000 a month. So you put those two numbers together, it's about 10 million tests by the end of May that we'll be doing at Quest Diagnostics.
Million, right?
We're doing that also in a quicker way. Turnaround times were somewhat of an issue. At the early days, we've reduced that to 1 to 2 days. Our turnaround time for people in beds, hospital beds, is less than 24 hours. And we're doing that in the same way we've done it with the FDA and with CLIA, delivering the quality that you all expect. And convenience will improve as well with convenient solutions that will be able to swab individuals more easily and also deliver to consumer, the ability to have consumers choose a test online with a telehealth provider. So with that, I'd like to offer my colleague the podium as well.
Mr. President, thank you very much for your leadership and for having us all here today. Our scientists and our lab technicians are working day and night in order to do as many tests as we possibly can for the American public and to turn those tests around as quickly as possible. Just 45 days ago, we said we could do several thousand tests a day. We can now do 60,000 tests a day, and we're continuing to expand that capacity every single day. In addition,
so remember, so we got 100K from this other guy, 60K, that's 160K. To even really have a conversation, we need 500 to 1 million a day. Okay, when is that going to go up?
My LabCorp at-home test. That test right now is for healthcare workers on the front line and first responders, but we will be rolling that out much more broadly over the coming weeks. And we're going to roll it out with absolutely no upfront cost for the individual consumers. At the same time, we are building our capacity for serology testing, and we can currently do about 50,000 today, and we'll be able to do several 100,000 per day by the middle of May.
That we need.
And we're going to be working with the retailers, our colleagues that are here today, to help them as they expand their testing capabilities across the entire country. And lastly, Mr. President, we have a rather large drug development business, and we will continue to work with our colleagues in the pharmaceutical and the biotechnology industry to ensure we do everything we possibly can to enroll clinical trials fast so that we can get new treatments and potential vaccines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Anybody hear like protesters in the background?
Mr. President, thank you, and thank the administration for all of their collaboration to enable Thermo Fisher Scientific to be able to produce the test kits that companies like LabCorp and Quest and the public health labs around the world run. We met our original commitments of producing 5 million kits a week, and we're up to scaling that to double that in the coming weeks.
Yeah, it doesn't tell us about how many people are being tested. By the way, is every one of these CEOs just a white dude?
World for their tireless effort to make that a reality and supporting all of our customers to have the testing necessary to get America back to work.
Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you.
Who's next?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm John Nims with U.S. Cotton, and we are the company that is going to produce the swabs to be used in these testing kits. We have about 1,200 people in our company, and in our Cleveland operation, they have pivoted from, as you've said, the Q-tip style swab to a swab that's going to have a plastic stick with a polyester tip so that they can be assembled into these kits. Our Cleveland team has done a wonderful job with this, and they're very excited to be able to help in this effort. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Great job.
Excellent job. A lot of propaganda here, guys. My Pillow.
Mr. President, thank you.
My
I'm
Pillow.
Larry Merlo with CVS Health, and it was just over a month ago that we opened up our first drive-through test site. And since that time, we have opened large-scale testing
By the way, it's not really
facilities
My
across
Pillow, guys.
5 states in partnership with the administration and working with the governors of Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Georgia, and Michigan. And these sites are enabling us to test approximately 1,000 individuals a day with real-time results. We now have a capacity to test about 35,000 individuals each week. And this afternoon, we announced plans to expand that capacity even further. Beginning in May, we will install testing capabilities in up to 1,000 CVS pharmacies. We'll be using our drive-thrus and our parking lots with swab testing. So again, you'll see that coming online in May. And we also recognize the fact that the virus is disproportionately affecting our minority communities. So we're working in partnership with organizations like the National Medical Association to bring testing and care into the traditionally underserved communities. We're also beginning to implement mobile capabilities with which to do that. And as businesses are restarting their workforce, we'll also be looking to assist them as they begin to come back to a normal operation. And finally, as my other colleagues, I just want to thank my CVS colleagues. They have done a phenomenal job in terms of helping people in many different ways, all across communities in the country. And they're part of this army of healthcare professionals and front store and first line supervisors and workers that are doing terrific things to bring our country together. And for that, we owe them a huge amount of gratitude. Thank you.
Just a lot of CEOs getting to promote their businesses. A very, very valuable airtime, apparently.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate the invitation to be here today. And it was just 45 days ago when we were here. I'm Richard Ashworth. I oversee Walgreens in the U.S. And I just want to start off, Larry, like you, thanking the over 200,000 Walgreens team members who are in stores every day all across America taking care of our patients and our customers, giving them essential daily needs, the prescriptions, obviously, that they need, and even COVID testing while we're here. We also announced today we'll be expanding our testing capabilities across all states, including Puerto Rico. We'll be able to triple the volume that we do now in partnership with our lab partners, and we're excited to be able to do that. We're really excited with the public-private partnership that we have here because that's what's enabling us to do this, and we look forward to working with the additional states to get these sites up and running as fast as possible. As a pharmacist, I just want to say one quick thing. I'm really proud to be part of this profession, and not just Walgreens pharmacists and pharmacy employees, but all of them across grocery, mass, independents. You're really doing what you should be doing and what you went to school for, to help patients, counseling them on their medicines and helping them understand the problems that we're facing. You know, pharmacy is right here in it with everyone together in the community, and we look forward to being part of the testing like we are now, serology, whatever that might look like in the future, and eventually treatment when the vaccine does come. So thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity.
Great job.
Thank you.
Very much.
Who's next?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We appreciate all you're doing to get America back to work and doing it safely. I represent Kroger, and my name is Rodney McMullen. And I am so proud of our nearly 500,000 associates that are doing everything every day to keep customers safe and our associates safe. And one of the things that we were able to do is provide the basic practices we're doing. We call it Blueprint. And it's the things that all of us can learn from on how to get America back working. We also announced earlier today continuing to accelerate our practice on testing. We are actively engaged in 6 states. In the next couple of weeks, we'll take that to 12 states. And the number of tests that we do continues to grow faster than that. Together, we will win. Together, we will solve this problem and move on. America is always great. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Right. Wow, it's just a parade of just CEOs, I guess, getting their minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Doug McMillan. I'm a Walmart associate, and I, too, would like to start by thanking our associates for everything that they're doing in our stores, Sam's Clubs, distribution centers, and in our e-commerce fulfillment centers. They've been inspiring and continue to have a can-do attitude and step up. It's much appreciated. We started 45 days ago, as did everyone else, and we've been operating sites for a while now. We're now up to 20 sites across 11 states. By the end of next week, we'll be to 45, and by the end of May, we'll be at 100. We also, a few weeks ago, Vice President Pence and I were in a distribution center in Virginia, a food distribution center. He was kind enough to come and thank our associates for us there, which is much appreciated. And the President and Vice President were speaking on the phone about surgical gowns, and the President asked if we could put in an order for millions of surgical gowns, and we don't normally buy those, so I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to do that. But I'd like to thank our apparel team and McKesson in particular for partnering with us. We've been able to, in the month of April, secure an additional 2.5 million surgical gowns. And by the end of May, we'll have an additional 6 million available to help. So thank you for the opportunity to serve and for being here.
Great job. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. President,
Hey,
and
something
thanks
other
to
than
the
a white
team
dude.
for getting this great operation up and running for the benefit of the country. I'm Hayward Donegan with Rite Aid, and we are currently operating 40% of the current test sites in 25 locations across 8 states. And I had the opportunity, as I was driving up, to stop at our Richmond location and see the testing in action and thank the associates, whether it be security or pharmacy, front end, everybody who's helping with this great effort, and all of the customers that appreciate this so much. It was really amazing to see. And I want to thank my 50,000 associates also for keeping these retail locations up and running during these really, really tough times. It's been quite amazing. And we, too, are going to expand our testing, and we're doing about 1,500 a day. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay. How many more? I guess none.
Thank you all very much. It's incredible what we've done together over a short period of time. I want to thank our Vice President for the task force and the work. Every day it gets better, and we had a fantastic call with the governors today. And I would say that they are as thrilled as they can
Trump
be,
doing the
considering
wrap-up
that
voice, like
the
he's not
fact
taking
is that
questions?
there has been so much unnecessary death in this country. It could have been stopped, and it could have been stopped short, but somebody a long time ago, it seems, decided not to do it that way.
Uh-oh.
And the whole world is suffering because of it, 184 countries at least. But I want to thank all of these great business men and women for the job they've done. They've been fantastic with us, working with us. And as you know, for several weeks, my administration has encouraged the governors to leverage unused testing capacity in states Very few understood that we have tremendous capacity. Then 1 week ago, we provided each governor with a list of names, addresses, and phone numbers of the labs where they could find additional testing capacity in their states. Within 48 hours, the number of tests performed across the country began to absolutely skyrocket. On Saturday alone, more than 200,000 test results were reported, which is a gigantic number, bigger than any country anywhere in the world for a much longer period of time.
Not per capita.
A number that is an increase earlier in the month when we tested roughly less than 100,000 a day. So we much more than doubled it, and that will be doubling again very shortly. We are continuing to rapidly expand our capacity and confident that we have enough testing to begin reopening and the reopening process. We want to get our country open.
We actually don't.
And the testing is not going to be a problem at all. In fact, it's going to be one of the great assets that we have. Today, we're releasing additional guidance on testing to inform the states as they develop their plans for a phased and very safe reopening.
Okay.
Our blueprint describes how states should unlock their full capacity, expand the number of testing platforms, establish monitoring systems to detect local outbreaks, and conduct contact tracing. We have it all. Other countries are calling to find out what are we doing and how do you do it, and we're helping them. We're dealing with a lot of countries, helping them on testing.
If they're calling, it's to avoid
just like we did on the ventilators. I directed our Medicare program to make it easier for seniors to get the testing that they need, and the pharmacies, as you know, we are allowing pharmacies now to do testing, and we have other testing locations that we're going to be allowing also, but having pharmacies get involved in testing is a very big deal. We're also asking governors to do the same in their Medicaid program, so they're going to be able and authorized to do the same in Medicaid. So that's a big deal. So we're deploying the full power and strength of the federal government to help states, cities, to help local government get this horrible plague over with and over with fast. There's tremendous energy in our country right now. There's energy like people haven't seen in a long time.
To remove
a spirit that they have not seen, and we're doing very well, considering what happened to us and considering if you look at what happened to others. This is something that the world has not seen for a long, long time. You can probably go back to 1917, where it was a terrible period of time. You all know what happened in 1917. That's over 100 years ago. With that, I'd like to introduce, if I might, Dr. Birx, if you could come up, and then Admiral, you'll come up, and between the two of you, you'll explain the entire process and how much progress we've made and where we're going. Thank
remember
you very
that
much.
Birx can no longer be trusted. Just remember that.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the blueprint lays out the roles and responsibilities to enhance our partnership between the private sector and the public sector, bringing together state and local governments with the federal government to ensure that we can accomplish and achieve our core principles and objectives. We can have the first slide. The core elements of the testing plan include both three elements: robust diagnostic testing plans developed in partnerships with state, and I just really want to thank the governors and the health officials, both at the state and local levels, who've been working with us day and night to work through these issues, and also all the laboratory directors in many of the states, as well as the American Society for Microbiology, who've been working with us to ensure that the plans were efficient and effective. Within the robust diagnostic testing plans, it was really unlocking the full capacity of the state, increasing the number of testing platforms. We now have multiple tests for different platforms, increasing the ability to collect samples, increasing testing and laboratory supplies, and ensuring that we work together to make sure that every client receives the tests that they need. This is added with timely monitoring systems. And what do I mean by that? Systems where we bring together the ability to not only diagnose the symptomatic, but proactively and interactively work with individuals that we know are at higher risk. We've worked with states to look at where the outbreaks have occurred when they're not in the large metros. And
so just as a reminder, well, people, because what she's saying is actually meaningless, what really matters now is when will we be testing 500K a day? When will we be set up for proper contact tracing? She's only telling us essentially things we know and things states are being told with no actual details. this is not worth very much.
In local governments to ensure that every symptomatic case and critically the asymptomatic cases are quickly tracked and traced to ensure that we can not only control this epidemic but predict outbreaks before they expand. And then finally, the plan includes an approach of using science and technology to develop even newer platforms, more efficient testing, really ensuring that the antibody tests that are utilized and recommended by both FDA and CDC have high quality in predicting both exposure to the virus and antibody development. And then finally, working on innovative tests that could be high throughput and point of care, an antigen-based test or a point of care expanded nucleic acid test. Thank you.
He hasn't even said when will we have more tests. So who thinks Trump leaves without taking questions?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Ambassador Birx. If I could have the next slide, please. Want to spend just a couple minutes about going over where we've been, but more importantly, where we're going. I think we all can understand how we can group this into three distinct phases.
Oh, we're 7/8
First is our
of the
launch
way there,
phase,
guys.
when we were really engaging the emerging epidemic and the types of things we need to do. For example, mobilize the private sector to develop, test, and have EUAs. And I think you know over the past 2 months, the FDA has issued 67 emergency use authorizations, which is far outpacing anything that has been done or could ever been imagined. Galvanizing the research community in the commercial labs. The reason why we're here with ACLA Labs having done about 3 million tests is because of that day when it was galvanized by the president and the vice president. We also set models in the community. Those first community-based testing sites that were federally supported and really under the direction of the U.S. Public Health Service, people who had been in Japan testing people on the Diamond Princess to assure that it would be done right and it would be done safely for everyone involved. Then we moved to really scaling. That phase was very, very important because we knew we needed to be at an immense scale to enter the third phase about supporting opening again.
The way you think about whether this is fluff is you think about, is anything being said that would be newsworthy or worth reporting? Him telling us what's happened over the last 8 weeks, either accurately or not accurately, is not news. And that's how you can tell that this is just filler gaslighting.
Of scientific community being able to broaden the types to spun polyester. So U.S. Cotton can now come in and start delivering within the next couple of weeks 3 million swabs per week of a different type. It also did things like expanding the community-based testing sites. Whereas we started small with the commercial partners, you see today, right now, we have 73 of this 2.0 sites going to 110. And very importantly, this demonstrated the model. And 68% of those sites are in communities of moderate or high social vulnerability, and 22% are in the highest social vulnerability communities, so that we can make sure the testing gets where it needs to be. You've just heard that that could be expanded to thousands of sites. And finally, stage 3, which is very exciting, coordinating with governors to support testing plans and rapid response programs. Over the past week, a multidisciplinary team from the White House, HHS, FDA, FEMA, has met virtually with multidisciplinary teams from every state, Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia, to understand what their testing aspirations are and to make sure that we can meet those demands. We're going to have another round of those calls this week, but as we talked about earlier today, we will be able to supply every state with the supplies and the tests that they need that will dramatically increase the number of tests we've done
What
to
will
this
be the
point.
number?
Just to give you an idea,
Yes.
the supplies that we will be providing to states, the minimum that we're supplying to states is approximately double in that month than the Republic of Korea has performed in the 4 months to now accumulated.
What gaslighting?
To give you an idea of the amount of testing.
We need to do 500K minimum and ideally 2 million a day. How many? It's twice what Korea did last month? What?
Core and Quest providing the very high throughput, large scale testing, the galvanizing of the hospitals and academic labs that Dr. Birx has done by a machine to machine understanding and promoting that with the governors. And of course, using point of care testing when and where that's very important to stop outbreaks or in remote areas like in the Indian Health Service or in Alaska. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Does he take questions?
Okay, so with that, we're here to answer some questions. And Mike is up here also, so we'll answer. Steve, please go ahead.
Here we go.
Grapple with when and how to open their states. What's the best advice from you on what they should do? How quickly?
Well, we want them to do it. We recommend that they do it as quickly as possible, but safely. We want everyone to be safe. And I think you're seeing that. You're seeing a lot of governors get out and they want to open it up. Many are thinking about their school system. Not a long way to go in the school system right now for this season, for this year. But I think you'll see a lot of schools open up, even if it's for a very short period of time. I think it would be a good thing. Because as you see in terms of...
I don't think you'll see that. That would be horrible.
What this vicious virus goes after, young people seem to do very well. Young people seem to do very well. So I know that there are some governors that aren't necessarily ready to open up their states, but they may be ready to open up their school systems. We'll see, but that's their choice. But the word is safety, okay? Rapid, but safety. Yeah, please. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for you regarding one of the members of your coronavirus task force, and that's Secretary of HHS Alex Azar.
Yeah.
On January the 28th, he was in the briefing room, and in the briefing room, he told reporters that for the individual American, the virus should not be an impact on their day-to-day life. 3 months later, more than 55,000 of our fellow Americans have now lost their lives.
Right.
Mr. President, why is he still your top health advisor? Why is he still serving as the HHS secretary?
Well, I think it's a very unfair question because you have many great professionals. Some of them you have great respect for, and you have many people in the other party. You mentioned Alex Azar,
but they don't work.
You have many people in the other party that have said the same thing and with even more confidence.
Yeah.
So a lot of people
they don't work for
didn't
Trump.
get that right.
Irrelevant.
I was very fortunate, whether it was through luck or whatever, that we closed the border. We put a ban on China other than our citizens coming in. We had our citizens. You can't keep out American citizens.
It's a good question,
You know,
but
gee,
no
you can't
answer.
come back into your country. That's a little tough to do, but we put a ban on China. That was very fortunate. But I could tell you that Nancy Pelosi was dancing in the
Right,
streets.
but he doesn't have Nancy Pelosi. By the way, that's a lie. But he doesn't have Nancy Pelosi running the response, right? That's the question.
So you don't mention that, but you could mention that.
She doesn't work for him.
Go ahead. Any other? Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. President, he has not been in a briefing
Yeah, please, stand up.
since April the 3rd. Does that show confidence?
You should have no complaints, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday, you retweeted someone who alleged that Democrats have quoted, quote, inflated the mortality rate of the coronavirus by underreporting the infection rate. Do you believe that's true, that there's some sort of conspiracy theory regarding the number of infections states are reporting?
Well, I can only say what we're doing. We're reporting very accurately. If you look at other countries are not. I mean, you can look at China, you can look at numerous countries where I don't think those are right numbers. I can only say what we're doing. It's very important to us to do very accurate reporting, and that's what we're doing. John, go ahead, please.
By retweeting that, Mr. President?
Thank you. Please.
Mr. President, I wanted to ask you about the payment protection plan, the CPP
Holy
plan
shit.
to help small
If no one
businesses.
asks about
There's been a lot of
injections,
concerns.
it will be because they were warned, right? I mean, there must be. I can't even imagine why there wouldn't be a question about that.
And until it's fixed, American banks will not be able to help struggling small businesses. Do you know?
Well, I just came out and I hadn't heard. I heard there was a glitch. We'll find out whether or not that's so. Certainly, it did work out very well for the original amount of money. This is the second amount, and I'll find out about that. We're relying on the banks to go out and do an accurate job. Yeah, please, in the back.
All the companies that get aid, Mr. President.
Well, I wouldn't mind doing that. I don't know what the legal status of something like that. I would like to do that, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not involved in that process, but I would certainly like to have it listed. I'd have to find out if there's a legal problem, but if there isn't, I would do it gladly. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Charlie Spearing from Breitbart News. And a majority of polls show that Americans blame China for the spread of the coronavirus, and yet they're taking advantage of the crisis to make the world more dependent on their supply chains. How do you hold China accountable, and
Get
how
this
do
guy
you
out of here.
keep our country?
Well, Charlie, there are a lot of ways you can hold them accountable. We're doing very serious investigations, as you
Wow,
probably
what an alpha
know.
question.
And we are not happy with China. We are not happy with that whole situation, because we believe it could have been stopped
Is
at the
CNN
source. It
not
could have
even
been
there?
stopped quickly, and it wouldn't have spread all over the world. And we think that should have happened. So we'll let you know at the appropriate time, but we are doing serious investigations.
American
businesses from relying on China for their supply chains? How do you fix that?
Well, we've already discussed that, and especially having to do with medical supplies and others. If you look prior to this virus, the deficit was coming way down under my administration because I put massive tariffs on China.
That's an insane
We took in
lie.
tens of billions of dollars,
We
gave
pay
some
the
of it to
tariffs.
the farmers who were unfairly targeted by
these are
China.
unhinged lies.
Nobody's ever done that before. We never took in 10 cents from
deficit
China.
exploded.
Now all of a sudden, I think you know very well, we've taken in tens of billions of dollars.
We've taken in
I
nothing.
helped the farmers by
Our
giving them
business
2
is
years
paying.
ago $12 billion, all coming from China.
We
and
pay
we had
the
plenty
tariffs.
left over too.
We pay
and
the
then the
tariffs.
following year, $16 billion. And this year, we're also going to help our farmers. But nobody's ever done a thing like that because they were targeted unfairly by China. So we're doing a very strong investigation, and we'll let you know what the result of that is.
The hell
we
is
should be able to
going on?
get the answers to.
Mr. President,
Go ahead, please.
as you talk about potentially reopening up America again, as we see in the slides behind you, what data are you going to look at in the future to see
How
if
is there not a
restrictions
question about
need to be
bleach?
reimposed?
Yeah, we're looking very much and reliant very much on the local areas,
Have
the
they
governors.
been blackmailed?
And that's been the way it has
Were
been
they
for me.
warned?
Maybe not for everybody, but for me, that's the way it's been at the beginning. And from the beginning, the governors, some of them are doing an extraordinary job. Not all of them, but some of them. And I think all of them maybe have a chance to do that. Some will be a little bit different. The areas are much different. Manhattan is much different than Montana. You have a lot of different circumstances. And obviously, if you look at the virus, it hit some areas, hasn't hit very much other areas, not even at all, almost not at all. But the entire country has been infected. West Virginia is an example. I spoke to Jim Justice, the governor of West Virginia, and they were long before anything hit, and they had numerous deaths, even in West Virginia, and they were really the last one to be hit. So we're dealing with the governors. We had a really great call today, as I told you. Very, very solid. These were not complaining people. These were
Somebody's
people that
gotta
were.
ask
They
about
had
bleach or
everything
he's
they
gonna
needed.
leave.
They had their ventilators. They have their testing. They see their testing is growing. They're growing their testing. We're helping them. We're getting them what they need. And that was a group I'm sure some of you were on the line, even though you weren't supposed to be. And I think you know what the result of that call was. Please go ahead.
Supply chain, sir.
Following up on Charlie's question on making China, holding them responsible, Germany sent a bill to China for $130 billion, 130 billion euros for the damages caused by the coronavirus. Would your administration look at doing the same?
Well, we could do something much easier than that. We have ways of doing things a lot easier than that. But Germany's looking at things, and we're looking at things, and we're talking about a lot more money than Germany's talking about. Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President,
We haven't determined the final amount yet.
Thank you, Mr.
It's
President.
very substantial. If you look at the world, this is worldwide damage. This is damage to the U.S., but this is damage to the world. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Attorney General William Barr directed federal prosecutors to watch out for state and local officials that might be violating the Constitution.
She's
by some of
also
their
not
stay-at-home
asking
order
about bleach?
orders.
What
What's the
the
strategy there? Will
hell?
the federal government sue local authorities or?
Well, you'd have to ask Attorney General Barr, but I think he wants to see, like everybody, he wants to see people get back and wants to see people get back to work. He doesn't want people to be held up when there's no reason for doing it. In some cases, perhaps it's too strict. He wants to make sure people have their rights and they maintain their rights, very importantly. So a lot of people would agree with him, but you'd actually have to ask that question specifically from a legal standpoint to Attorney General Barr.
Federal government suing state
It would
officials?
depend on the state. It would depend on the circumstances of the state. Some states are, perhaps a little early, and some states are a little bit late. And the Attorney General, I read that, and I saw that, and frankly, the Attorney General doesn't want to have rights taken away because, there are some people, they're not allowed to open up a store, or they're going to lose their livelihood. And by the way, that causes death also, between all of the things that happen, and this has been a big study. The fact that people aren't allowed to have their freedom causes a tremendous amount of problems, including death. So that's what he's talking about. Please, in the back.
Maryland and other states, Governor Larry Hogan specifically said they've seen a spike in people using disinfectant after your comments last week. I know you said they were sarcastic.
I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why. Yeah.
take any responsibility?
No,
if
I
someone
don't.
were
No,
to
I
die?
can't imagine. I can't imagine that. Yeah, go ahead, please.
President, Dr. Anthony Fauci says that we need to increase testing by double it at least, and so does the Rockefeller Foundation. When are we going to be
Well, that's why
doubling?
Fauci's not here.
It doesn't really matter what they say there, and we just left him. We just had a meeting, but because we're going to have much more than double it very soon. Now, there are big believers in testing, and then there are some governors that don't feel as strongly about it at all. You understand that. They feel much differently about it. But we're going with maximum testing because it's something we're very capable of doing. But we'll be much more than doubled. You know, Mike, I'd like you to answer that. We're going to be much higher than doubled on testing very shortly. Mike, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope the American people looking on today are as proud as the President and I are of the incredible public and private partnership that you heard from today.
Is he out of breath?
It was 2 months ago that we had done less than 10,000 tests for the coronavirus in the United States.
I'm muting and I'm taking over here because this is weaponized disinformation. So here's the deal. They told us that by the end of March, 20 million tests would have been done. That date came and went, and they didn't do it. We now have done a total of 5.6 million tests. Per capita, we are 41st in the world in testing. In order to really be looking at opening, these are the numbers they will never tell you. They just, like that Admiral Giroir said, next month we'll be doing twice as many tests as South Korea last month. Like it was completely incoherent. Step one is we're testing about 180 a day. We got to get to 500,000 a day, absolute minimum. Really, to feel pretty good, we need to be testing 1 million a day, and ideally more like 2 million a day. One roadmap says we need to be doing 22 million tests per day. We're doing 180,000 on average, 180,000. So private-public partnership, Airbridge is bringing tests. We've scheduled tests. We've got reagent. Jared Kushner yesterday on Fox News talking about it. All that matters is how many tests are being done. And as you can see here, the number today declining to only 135,000. We're nowhere close, and they seem unwilling to just give us these numbers. I'm getting messages from people that the Twitch stream is down. Twitch seems to have gone down. It's not just our stream. Things are up and down. We can't really do too much about that. Let's go back a little bit to Pence's posturing. And only one question on bleach. I cannot believe it.
To enter phase one, to begin to reopen their economies. But Mr. President, with your permission, I'll just ask Admiral Giroir to give some specific numbers about,
oh my God,
about how quick, for all that we've done, how much more quickly you'll see an expansion of testing because of the partnership.
Let's see if he
that
gives
you
us
witnessed
a number
again here today.
Thank you,
I can't
Mr.
believe
President,
they're doing
Mr. Vice President. The number of tests that need to be done depends on the state level. You understand that places where there's high virus circulating will need many, many more tests. Places that do not have high virus circulating may need less tests. But let's just assume Dr. Fauci was talking about a 4 million per month number, which was sort of a week ago where we are. So we will, according to the governor's plans for next month, we will easily double that 4 million number. We will have over 20 million swabs that we're going to send out. We will have over 15 million tubes of media. We have all the tests matched machine to machine in a focused area. We've gone state by state and understand that.
We need 15 million tests per month minimum.
The 5 million per month test by LabCorp and Quest, or the point of care test by Abbott, or all the other tests that are out there. So in May, we are going to be doing more testing in this country. And people talk about South Korea a lot. The states with the least amount of testing will double the overall cumulative number per capita that South Korea has done in 4 months, to give you that understanding.
Per capita. What?
This sounds incredibly promising. Walgreens, CVS with the drive-through tests, the diagnostics agencies. But we sat here in the Rose Garden back on March 13, and these companies were here, some other companies were here. By my count, only 69 drive-through test sites have been set up by the companies that were here. I'm wondering if you, and of course, Mr. Vice President, back in early March, you said we'd be at 4 million tests by the following week. We're just now got there in the last few days.
Right.
So what have you learned about what went wrong, a month and a half, or over the last month and a half, or 2 months, and what's going to go right now? What lessons have you learned from the mistakes over the last, month and a half?
No mistakes.
John, I appreciate the question, but it represents a misunderstanding.
Right.
On your part, and frankly, a lot of people in the public's part about the difference between having a test versus the ability to actually process the test.
We know.
I mean, the truth was, when the president tapped me to lead the White House Coronavirus Task Force 2 months ago, we saw the production of lots of test kits going into the marketplace. But as the president has said many times, what he understood early on was the old system would never be able to process the tests at the massive volume that we would need in the midst of an epidemic.
It was Obama's fault.
And that's why the president brought together these extraordinary commercial labs that you've heard from today, literally sat them down in the Roosevelt room and said, we need you to...
How the hell didn't Obama have a testing system and response in place for something that didn't happen under his watch, other than the fact that he tried to train Trump's administration on how to deal with the pandemic and left them a color-coded 69-page playbook, which they threw in the trash and disbanded the pandemic response team? Wow.
Slow laboratory that are still conducting tests today, whether it be at the CDC or at state laboratories. But what the president brought about with this public-private partnership has brought us to the point where we've done 5.4 million tests to date. And
you promised 20 million by March 31.
You just heard that by next month we could be doing as many as 2 million tests a week all across the country to give the American people confidence that we can reopen and get our economy moving again.
So when you said 4 million tests 7 weeks ago, you were just talking about tests being sent out, not actually being completed?
Exactly.
John, I think precisely correct that in my first week on this job.
And how is it useful to talk about just shipping tests if people can't actually get them? It's amazing. Now he's saying that's exactly what I was saying.
The 4 million, and we believe they did. But again, those were tests that
were not
frankly,
meant to be taken.
But for the president's leadership, we'd still be waiting on those tests to be done in many cases, because they were tests that were designed.
You should be glad we were even sending around tests that couldn't be used.
At the president's direction, we brought in these incredible commercial labs. We partnered with these extraordinary retailers. And now we stand here today, literally one day last week, more than 200,000 tests in a single day. About the time that we were making those comments, we'd done less than 25,000 tests in the entire country.
You had no idea what you were talking about.
But we've met this moment with American ingenuity, with the incredible companies that are represented
Trump's
here.
Getting bored,
we couldn't
guys.
be more proud.
Follow up, Mr. President.
I think it's very important to know, and this you can get from any other country, I think, if they're being honest. Not only do we have the most testing in the world by far, but we have by far the best testing. OAN, please go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you.
OAN.
As I'd like to switch gears and talk about General Flynn. There are reports
General
circulating now
Flynn.
that he may well be fully exonerated this week. If that were the case, is there any reason why you would not bring him back into the administration?
I will only say this. I think that General Flynn is a wonderful man.
Oh, my God.
He had a wonderful career, and it was a disgrace what happened to General
We are
Flynn.
so screwed
Let's see what
as a
happens
country.
now. But what happened to General Flynn should never happen again in our country. What happened
Him
to
being
other
made
people
NSA,
should never happen again in our country. What happened to your President of the United States should never again be allowed to happen.
Wow.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, thank you. Today, one of your top economic advisors, Kevin Hassett, he said that the U.S. is likely to experience a 20 to 30% decline in the GDP in the second quarter, the worst since the Great Depression. Do you agree with that assessment?
I don't know, but I can tell you the third and the fourth quarter in particular are going to be, I think, spectacular. We were talking about it with the executives. I think we're going to have a phenomenal third quarter. Nobody, except one country can be held accountable for what happened. Nobody's blaming anybody here. We're looking at a group of people that should have stopped it at the source. But so what happens in second happens in second. What we are doing is, I think you're going to see a big rise in the third, but you're going to see an incredible fourth quarter, and you're going to have an incredible next year. I think you're going to have a recovery. Look, they were just telling me inside, and it's fact, I built the greatest economy with the help of 325 million people. I built the greatest economy in the history of the world.
Right.
And one day, because of something that should have never been allowed to happen, we had to close our country. We had to close our economy. I built it. We had the best employment numbers and the best unemployment numbers for Hispanic American, for African American, for Asian American, for everybody. Best stock market numbers. And by the way, the stock market was up very substantially today. And people are seeing a lot of good things. A lot of very smart people investing in the stock market right now. It's at 24,000, approximately 24,000. And if you would have said, with the tragedy that this country had to endure and go through, with all of the death and the people that died and were so badly hurt by what happened, and you can only say God bless them, but if you would have said that our country would be in the position we're now, we're ready to move forward. We'll never forget loved ones. We'll never forget these great people that sacrificed for a reason of incompetence or something else other than incompetence, what happened at a point where they could have protected the whole world, not just us, the whole world. But we had the greatest economy ever in the history of our world, and I had to turn it off in order to get to a point where we are today. And now we're making a comeback, and I think we're going to have economically, from an economic standpoint, next year an unbelievable year.
Hopefully he won't be
president.
president.
I think that you're going to see a fantastic fourth quarter, and the third quarter will start to build. But the second quarter, obviously, you're going to have GDP lack of growth. I'm looking at the head of Walmart. What a job Walmart's done in going through something. I mean, they were doing yeoman's work, including getting us millions of really very, very protective outfits. And I mean, the job that Doug and Walmart did was incredible. Millions of outfits, and those are high quality. I've seen them. Those are high quality. That's what we need.
Like
so people
gowns.
have stepped up to the plate. I think we're going to have a really good, I think it's going to start building. I think it's going to build fast. I think it'll be a tremendous, tremendous comeback. And, you know, so I say I built the greatest economy with all of the people that helped.
Reminder, the question was, do you expect down 20 to 30% in Q2? That was the question 5 minutes ago.
Again, and it's not going to be that long. Okay. Yes, please, go ahead.
Mr. President, opening up the country, how long will you keep up the travel restrictions for Europe?
Well, we're looking at that, and it depends on how long it's taking Europe to heal. Italy is starting to make a comeback. I'm very happy to see that with my friend, the Prime Minister. It's tragic what went on in Italy and Spain and France and Germany, frankly, and every country over there. It's tragic. But we'll be looking at what's happening in Europe, and certainly we want to do that, and they want to do it too. They want to do it very badly. Yeah?
Do you have any update on Kim Jong-Un's health? Have you gotten any update on Kim Jong-Un's health? Has he responded to your letter from March?
On Kim Jong-un? I can't tell you exactly. Yes, I do have a very good idea, but I can't talk about it now. I just wish him well. I've had a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un. If I weren't president, you'd be in war. You would have been in war with Korea.
That's untrue.
You would have been in war with North Korea if I wasn't president. That I can tell you.
Hillary Clinton had no appetite for war with North Korea. It's a joke.
I hope he's fine. I do know how he's doing, relatively speaking. We will see. You'll probably be hearing in the not-too-distant future. All right, one or two more. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, a question about the 2020 election.
Yeah.
Your likely Democratic opponent, Joe Biden, recently suggested that you were considering changing the date of the election, that you might try something like that. That's my first question. The second question
I never even thought of changing the date of the election. Why would I do that? November 3rd. It's a good number. No, I look forward to that election, and that was just made-up propaganda, not by him, but by some of the many people that are working, writing little statements. I see all the time, statement made, you say so, statement made per Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. He didn't make those statements, but somebody did. but they said he made it. No, let him know I'm not thinking about it at all. Not at all. Okay, go ahead in the back, please.
Yeah, the bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee came out with the fourth installment of its report. It concluded that Russia interfered in the 2016 elections and there was not political bias. Do you accept its conclusions?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen the report. I haven't seen the report.
He doesn't
yeah,
understand
please
the
go
question.
ahead.
President, nice to see you. I think you have a good relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-Un. But last Saturday, Senator Graham, he mentioned in the Fox News he interviewed, he said
He didn't say anything last Saturday.
Kim Jong-un.
Nobody knows where he is, so he obviously couldn't have said it.
He's talking about Lindsey Graham.
This is breaking news.
Yes.
That Kim Jong-Un made a statement on Saturday. I don't
Lindsey
think
Graham
so.
made that
Okay, go ahead. Let's do one more, please.
Oh
in the
my
back.
God, he didn't even.
The president loses more Americans over the course of 6 weeks than died in the entirety of the Vietnam War. Does he deserve to be reelected?
So, yeah, we've lost a lot of people, but if you look at what original projections were, 2.2 million, we're probably heading to 60,000, 70,000. It's far too many. One person is too many for this.
Every week now they'll say it's going to be like 70, 80, 70, 80.
Decision was closing the border or doing the ban, people coming in from China, obviously other than American citizens, which had to come in. Can't say you can't come in, you can't come back to your country. I think we've made a lot of good decisions. I think that Mike Pence and the task force have done a fantastic job. I think that everybody working on the ventilators, you see what we've done there, have done unbelievable. The press doesn't talk about ventilators anymore.
Right.
They just don't want to talk about them, and that's okay. But the reason they don't want to talk, that was a subject that nobody would get off of. They don't want to talk about them. We're in the same position on testing. We are lapping the world on testing, and the world is coming to us. As I said, they're coming to us saying, what are you doing? How do you do it? And we're helping them. So, no, I think we've done a great job. And one person, I will say this, one person is too many. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Why did Maryland have to go to South Korea to get 500,000 tests?
Okay, so one last extra. There's always one more that someone has to yell out. That one about the, I believe that was the Maryland governor who had to order tests from South Korea. Wow. How was there only one question about bleach injections? How was there only one question? Were they warned? Absolutely stunning and unbelievable. Please remember, especially if you were watching on YouTube, please make that subscribe button explode on your way out. We are tracking to hit 130,000 subscribers tonight. We could hit 830,000 subscribers right now. And I'm talking like, you guys know what I'm talking about right now. If some of you find folks watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the like button. I prefer both. We were told that these press briefings were going to be pared back. None on Saturday, none on Sunday, one today. We will see whether tomorrow there are any of these that happen or are scheduled for subsequent days. If they are, I will be here. Otherwise, new clips publishing every 90 minutes on YouTube. Thanks for joining me today.